Steps.
Sisters.
I'm Lasya.
And I'm Kritika, and we're your trainers from Future Steps.
Welcome to the amazing world of cells. These are tiny building blocks of all living things. Imagine over 37 trillion cells in your body. That's a lot. They're everywhere. Plants, animals, and you.
Okay, so what are cells? Cells are your body's tiny bricks. They are the smallest units of life, much like tiny Lego bricks. Just as Lego bricks build up huge castles, cells build every living thing. They're incredibly small, about 0.01 millimeters on average, so you can't see them without special tools.
Now let's talk about what the cell has inside of it. They are tiny organizers. So it has many things like cell membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus, and other stuff that are not mentioned here. But for now, know these three. Cell membrane is the skin that controls what goes in and out. Cytoplasm is the jelly filling where all the cells' activities happen. Nucleus. This is the brain that controls cell functions and holds the DNA blueprint. So it's kind of like our own nervous system. And if you want to know more about the human systems and the human body and learn about the different systems, go to our channel and we have many other videos talking about human body and human systems too.
Yep.
Most cells are packed with even tinier working parts. Like I talked before, these are the three main ones that we talked about right now, but there's so many other things in a cell. For example, the mitochondria, which is like something that provides the energy for that cell to continue working. And we have many other stuff too that you will learn about later.
Yep. So, what do cells do? Cells help in growth. We know that cells divide and multiply to make more cells, which help you grow bigger. So, think about it. About a couple years ago, when you were born, you were a tiny little baby. And now you're a a big, bigger person, right? You can walk, you can talk, you can do a lot of things. And if you compare yourself to a baby is substantially smaller. Now that could show how cells, you know, divide and multiply as you keep growing. That's probably why it takes us years to grow rather than just, a couple days. And then also help us repair. When I say repair, I mean, when you get hurt, they can help you heal. So cells work to fix injuries like when a cut finger heals quickly. So have you ever gone out to play and then you just end up tripping and falling and now your knee is bleeding? And then a couple days later there's a huge black thing on top of it. What do you think that is? That's basically a kind of cover, and below it cells are dividing and building up so so that you can have new skin cells over there rather than, just a blank cut on your leg. And then that black cover sheds off, revealing your new skin layer. And then cells also provide us energy, like Lassia mentioned earlier. Cells are like tiny power plants getting energy from food you eat. And then when it says job specialist, it means that there are different cells that have specific jobs, like muscle cells that help you move. And then remember I talked about skin cells when you get a cut? That's also a different type of cell.
Now let's compare between a plant cell and an animal cell. So green versus blue look. So a plant cell have they plant cells have a stronger outer cell wall, like a fort for support. So animal cells, they only have a cell membrane, like we talked before. Whilst the plant cells, they have something called a cell wall, which is much more stronger. And plant cells, they also contain chloroplasts. These are tiny green kitchens for making food from sunlight. And these contain chlorophyll, which attracts sunlight. And remember, like we learned before, in like another video in our YouTube video, in our YouTube channel, we have something about plants, and they do something called photosynthesis, which uses sunlight to make their own food. And these chloroplasts, they have chlorophyll, which attracts the sunlight so that the plant can use that sunlight for making food. And then plant cells also have one big vacuole. So this is another plant organ in the cell itself to make it work. So what does this do? A vacuole? It helps for storage. So it's a giant water balloon, which helps for storage in the plant cell. So animal cells do not have these extra parts that helps plants stand tall and make their own food. So animal cells cannot make their own food because they do not have chloroplasts or they do not have chlorophylls to make their own food. Whilst plants, they have these chloroplasts and they have like vacuoles, which provides them with extra water. And they also have cell walls, which structures them differently because they have now like box kind of shapes. They are shaped in a way that are like rectangular and they're like specified. So that helps them like to stand tall. Whilst animals, they have like skeletal bones and skeletal system to help them stay strong and not the cells, which helps them stand tall.
Yep, so now we're going to talk about the fact that cells make organisms from single to super. Now we're going to talk about single-celled organisms. Organisms like bacteria and amoebas are made of just one cell. That's kind of crazy, isn't it? That single cell does everything they need to survive. And that is why I think it's really cool, but also bacteria is not the best thing, so stay away. Okay? And then there are multicelled organisms, which are larger organisms. If you compared like a single-celled organism to a multicell organism, obviously a multicelled one would be bigger because there are more cells compared to a single-celled which only has one cell. And these organisms are like plants, animals, or even us humans, because we're made of billions of cells that are all working together, like we talked about earlier. Now, fun fact, your amazing body alone has over 200 different types of cells, each with a special role. And when we say 200 different types of cells, we mean they're like different types of cells, for example, muscle cells, skin cells, and all of that. That doesn't mean there are only 200 cells, so definitely a lot more. I think we mentioned about 37 trillion cells, which is insane, isn't it?
Now let's look at how you can see the invisible. So this is the magic of microscopes. Robert Hooke in 1965, he was the first person to see and name cells by looking at a piece of cork through his early microscope that he made in those days. And how microscopes work. They use special lenses to magnify tiny things, making them look much larger. Hidden World Revealed. Microscopes can reveal the secret invisible world of cells, making them look up to 1,000 times bigger.
Yep, and that is why you can see cells through microscopes, and microscopes are really cool. So maybe we'll look at it. Maybe we'll post a video about it. You'll never know. Now the big idea, cell theory. Scientists have learned a lot about cells, and they've put together three big ideas called the cell theory. This theory helps us understand how all living things work. All living things are made of cells. We talked about this earlier. From the smallest bacteria to the biggest whale, everything alive is built from cells. Like plants, they're alive, they're built of cells. Animals, human beings, etc. And then cells are the basic unit of life. Think of cells as the smallest parts that can still be called alive and do all the jobs of living. So we've talked about this before too. And then all cells come from existing cells. Cells don't just appear out of nowhere, they come from other cells dividing. And this dividing process takes some time where one cell turns into two, and that's how we talked about this earlier, I think, when we were talking about um, how cells help us grow. That is because they divide and continue dividing over ages.
Now let's talk about cell adventures from at home. So these are fun experiments you can try at home to make sure you can see cells on yourself or cell reactions on yourself. So you can be a scientist too. Try these cool experiments to learn more about cells. First, we have the strawberry DNA extraction experiment. So see the actual DNA from the food. You will need a strawberry, soap, salt, rubbing alcohol, and that's it. And maybe like a straw or something. Let me explain this experiment to you. First, you take a strawberry and mash it, and then take a cup, and in that cup, put some water, hand soap, and salt, or like dish soap too, and then mix them together. And then the mashed strawberry, you take it and then put it in that water and later mix it together and then filter out the juice from the mushy part of the strawberry. Later, in the juice, add some rubbing alcohol at the top, like a thin layer of it. And then with the straw, just mix it and then where you will see like a white layer. And that layer is kind of like the strands of DNA. So use the straw to pick it up and you can see the real DNA of this strawberry. That's so cool, right? And then next we have the egg osmosis experiment. This is how you discover how water moves into and out of a cell. So in this case, an egg, right? So you require a raw egg, vinegar, corn syrup, and water. So this raw egg, put it in the vinegar first, or take two raw eggs in this case. We need two. And then put them into the vinegar. And then after some time, leave it for like maybe 10 minutes or so. And then take it out and then put it into corn syrup, one of the egg, and the other egg, put it into water. And then wait for like maybe like an hour or so and see how water like the egg differs in size in both of like a glass with the corn syrup and in the glass with the water. So just comment down below the differences you see in these, and then we would love to hear your results and enjoy like seeing how water moves into like egg and takes water away from the egg itself too. And then we have the yeast, which is the breathing. So watch tiny yeast cells produce gas and inflate a balloon. You will need yeast, sugar, warm water, and a balloon. So first, just take like a glass, put it yeast in it, put sugar and warm water in it. And then immediately just put a balloon on top of that glass. And then you'll soon see the balloon be filled with air. This is because the yeast releases air when it's mixed with sugar and warm water. And that's so cool, isn't it? And always remember to ask an adult for help with these awesome experiments and projects if you need any kind of help. Don't hesitate.
Yep, and these are definitely really cool experiments you should try, especially the egg osmosis. I really love that one. That one is pretty cool. And it's also a pretty simple one, so. Now, you're made of wonder. Cells are truly amazing. They're doing billions of tiny jobs inside you every single second. Your entire body is a masterpiece, built from countless tiny, hardworking cells. Keep exploring and discovering the invisible world that makes you, you. And some schools allow you to look into microscopes, and if your school does, you should definitely try to look at different cells and differentiate in them because they look pretty cool. And if you want, you could take pictures of them. I remember that I have a couple of pictures from when I was doing this in school. And it's definitely really cool because cells are really, really tiny. And being able to see them from that close is insane. It's really fun. You should definitely try it. And that is all we have for you today. If you have any questions, concerns, video requests, or anything at all, comment down below or email us. And you should definitely try watching some of our other videos, make some connections, and just continue learning. And learning is fun just because, we give you so many different experiments that you could do at home. With an adult, of course, because you don't want to make a mess and get yelled at by your mom, do you? Or your dad? Or just someone older than you, because if I did that, I'm pretty sure my brother would yell at me too. So get an adult's help, do these experiments, have some fun. If you don't want to do the experiments, you could just watch some videos on it. And I'm telling you, they're really, really cool. So
Yep.
that's all we have for you today. We'll see you in our next video. Goodbye.
Bye, Stepsters.